2016. We'll start with a moment of silence and Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is items of interest, recognition, and inquiry. Anybody on the board have something?
I do. Just a little welcome back statement. I want to welcome everybody back and thank you for your dedication to our wonderful district. All of your efforts are appreciated and they don't go unnoticed. Mariner and St. Days are this week with the first football games for both schools this week. Good luck to both teams and all the other sporting groups that do have games or are practicing. First day of students is Tuesday, September 6th. This year we'll continue to have economic challenges, but I feel that we have been good stewards of our finances and will continue to do so. I know there are ideas that need to continue to be explored to hopefully help reduce our expenses even more. I'm excited to continue working with the current board until December and then onward with 2 new board members joining us in January. We have many challenges ahead, and hopefully we will continue to work together, sharing ideas and inputting those ideas. Sometimes it seems that we as a board aren't moving forward fast enough to implement change. But believe me, we want to make sure we are doing what's best for our students. We have the 18 mil renewal in November with the hopes of a bond within the next school year. Both of these issues are important to the district. It is disappointing when we have a state-ranked tennis team that has to play all of their matches away due to the condition of their tennis courts. The need is there to maintain all of our facilities. We don't always have all the answers, but rest assured our most important goal is to give our students the best education that East China has always done. Working together and trusting each other will make us a stronger district. Again, welcome back. I look forward to working with all of you. My door is always open. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Dr. Skolka?
A couple things. At your seats tonight, you have copies of a couple of books that have been published by a local resident, Daniel David Ellis. Elvis the Pug and Elvis the Pug Bullies Are Bad, and he has provided us in these copies for our buildings. We wanted to let you take a look through first before we distribute them out to the buildings. And I know that we've hosted Mr. Ellis before, and we look forward to a continued partnership. Let's see. Last month, we presented some information regarding the school calendar, but only for the month of September. We have since completed an agreement with our Teachers Association, and the entire calendar is now posted on the district website, and I'm sure will be available to everybody during Saints, Mariners Days, and all the elementary school welcome backs. But if you're interested in seeing the entire year's school calendar, it is posted currently on the district website. And finally, we got some good news today in that as part of a partnership amongst several local organizations and the Michigan Department of Transportation, we have received a Safe Routes to School grant to the tune of $428,000. And
Wow.
Let's give credit to the students at Riverview East High School who started this process. To Catherine Woolman at Marine City Middle and Rachel Card at Bell River. Some of the projects that will be included is a new sidewalk along the north side of Chartier from Catherine to King, including a stoplight at King and Chartier. Upgrading and replacing sidewalks along the Brown Road along Brown Road, from Parker to Bell River. Upgrade the crossing at Parker and Ward, including striping, signage, and flashers.
Wonderful. Oh, good.
Improve crosswalk at the path on Ward between Parker and King. Put in a crosswalk at Frederick. And improve pedestrian signage at Bell River Avenue on the bridge so that drivers are more aware of pedestrians. So we're very fortunate to be a partner in this and look forward to the work getting done.
Wonderful.
That's it. Thank you.
Do we know when this work's going to begin then, or?
Just getting notification today.
They didn't say anything?
They didn't say,
Right.
and we have a few forms to send back to MDOT that say we accept the grant and our partners and all of those that go with it. Ms. Woolman, do you know anything else about that you could add?
The City of Marine City is spearheading the project, so their engineers have some work to do now to figure out exactly how all of this will work, and we'll go from there. From the school's perspective, as the work begins, we're going to be putting some things in place on how our students can use the new paths, how it can increase physical activity, different things like that to support the project.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Next order of business is Academic Spotlight, Summer Learning Program 2016. Catherine Woolman.
Good evening, everyone. It's that time of year where I report out to you what we've been doing with our students during the summer. School does not stop. We had 3 different summer learning programs, all held on the campus in Marine City. We chose that campus again this year because that's where the district summer feeding program was held. So not only could we work with our students academically, but we could ensure that they also, all of them, had access to free lunch if they so chose. So our high school program for 9th through 12th graders was held at Marine City High from July 5th to July 29th. It was a credit recovery and advancement program. I would say all but 2 students were there doing credit recovery. We had 2 students who were doing credit advancement in order to fit fine arts classes into their schedule next year, or tech classes. One young lady wanted to be able to stay in the COS program, so she was doing some credit advancement in order to stay in that program. We had 45 high school students taking a total of 63 classes. They were taking anything from English, math, science, social studies, and electives such as Microsoft Office, psychology, sociology, things of that nature. We continue to use the program Edgenuity, or E2020, which is aligned to state and local standards. This program is what we've used in the past, and we use it during the school year as well. In terms of how the program was staffed, I served as the site coordinator this year, and we had 2 teachers. Mr. Maxwell taught in the afternoon. He was the math teacher on site, and Mrs. Richley taught in the mornings and afternoon, serving as the English and social studies teacher. We had parent and students providing transportation. There was no shuttle bus for this program. In terms of tuition, it was $180 per class. That number is reduced if they are on free or reduced lunch, but the average tuition is $180. 19 students received grants, whether it was because of being free and reduced, WIA, or the St. Clair Goodwill Fund. We spent $5,512 on the program, and we brought in revenue of $9,557. That is anticipated because we did allow students to work on payment plans. So we have some students who will continue paying into September. They pay small weekly amounts in order to be able to afford to attend the program. And as we get into elementary, the revenue here allowed us to reduce costs for elementary and get some more students into that program. So I can explain that out as we go. So again, 63 credits to 45 students. It was a hybrid program using technology, and we did have certified teachers on site. The middle school program also held at Marine City High, July 6th to July 29th. Very targeted instruction for reading and math. We had 16 middle school students, some from our district and some from surrounding districts, who came in for the summer. They have an instructional model where they spend half the morning in a reader's workshop, working on reading and writing comprehension strategies, and then they have the other half of their morning where they're working on fundamental math skills with Mr. Maxwell. So it was Mrs. Miller for reading, Mr. Maxwell for reading, Mrs. Miller for reading and writing, Mr. Maxwell for math, and they had a shared site coordinator with the high school program, so no additional cost there. This cost was also $180 per student. 12 of those students received a grant under Title I funding. The state allows us, any of our students who are from a feeder elementary school that's Title I. So if they're from Eddy or Bell River, we are allowed to use Title I funds to pay for their summer school, even in middle school, knowing that they'll need continued support. So we do set some money aside every year so that middle school students from those two buildings can go to summer school at no cost. We anticipate that the program was going to cost $3,600, and it brought in a revenue of $2,000. Before I move on to elementary, a huge shout out to the custodial crew at Marine City High. They did a phenomenal job making sure our rooms were open every morning, greeting the students, even as they cleaned the building, making sure they had signs of where the students could go to get to the classrooms. They did a phenomenal job. So just a huge shout out to the Marine City High custodial team. The elementary program was held at Marine City Middle. It was from July 25th to August 12th. Like the middle school program, it's very targeted reading and math instruction. It had 139 students. We had 10 classrooms this year. We had 9 students in the kindergarten readiness program. That was a brand new classroom we opened this year because of the early literacy grant we received. So we received a grant last year that gave us money to provide targeted assistance to students in kindergarten, entering kindergarten through 3rd grade in reading and math. And so what we did is we took our students from all of our preschool programs who could use extra support before they start kindergarten next month. And Mrs. Jessica Jones, who is one of our teachers here, worked with them very closely on what they needed in terms of skills to be ready for kindergarten. We also had 24 kindergarten, 18 first grade, 30 second grade, 17 third grade, 13 fourth grade, and 28 fifth grade students this year. This is a list of our staff. All of our staff was returning from the previous year, with the exception of we added Jessica Jones for the kindergarten readiness, and Mrs. Kathy Richley served as the paraprofessional for the group this year. Tuition was $60 per in-district student. We were able to cut that in half. Previously, it's been $120 a student. So we cut it in half because we had that early literacy grant, and then we also knew that we were going to funnel some funds from our high school program so that we could get as many students as possible in. 94 of our students who attended received scholarships either from Title I or from grant funds. The anticipated program cost, and it still is anticipated because we're processing timesheets and all that good stuff still, is $16,600 with a revenue of $15,200. We do have a cost added in for elementary for transportation because the little ones can't drive. We run a shuttle bus from Eddy. So our students from St. Clair can be dropped off at Eddy. The bus brings them down to Marine City Middle and back to the Eddy parking lot. So parents from St. Clair, if they want their child to participate, don't necessarily have to transport them. As I mentioned earlier, the program focused a reader's workshop. They worked on reading comprehension strategies, word attack skills, and word fluency. For the math instruction, they focused on place value, developing number sense, basic operations, and fraction skills. So a summary of our program. We served approximately 200 students this summer. The total cost for our program was $25,800. We brought in $26,800 to cover what we did. We also have 2 other programs that are continuing right now, so I'll report out on those to you at a later time. 2 summer programs targeted specifically for our special education students. And so they're running at 2 of our elementary schools, and they'll continue right up until school starts. So I'll be back in the next couple months to share an update on those, and those are also funded out of that early literacy grant. So we've been able to do a lot this summer with that additional money from the state. Any questions?
Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
Those are the things that the public needs to hear, not just us here.
Anytime.
All the public, all the positive things. Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Approval of minutes, regular Board of Education meeting, July 25th, 2016. Approval of payment of bills, schedule of investments, approval of new teachers. Motion be in order.
I'll move.
Support.
Moved by Ms. Patricia, support by Amy Murphy.
Mrs. Frank.
Mrs. Frank.
Mrs. Frank, yes.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is recognition of persons wishing to address the board. I have a number of cards. First one will be Christy Kleeman.
Hi, my children go to Gearing. I have a kindergartner and a fifth grader, so we are moving out of one school at the end of this year, and we're moving one in. In the past 2 weeks, we received notice that the school has gone nut-free, will be sesame seed-free, and now for kindergarten will also be dairy-free. So first, I want to acknowledge the fact that I don't have an issue necessarily with those changes being made. I do have an issue with the way it was communicated. It seemed as though the planning was not fully put into the process. We received notice as an entire school district several days before the kindergartners received separate notice, then with a list of approved nutritious snacks. My second issue is the approved nutritious snack list, which when you look at the list of 61 items, I found 19 of them actually acceptable things I would feed to my children. Most of them are high fructose corn syrup, they're highly processed foods, they're mostly carbohydrates, there are no proteins on the list at all for students. So we're going to carb them up and then not balance them with some sort of protein and expect our kindergarten teachers to manage them. The other piece of it that goes along with this is that the kindergartners are now going to be washing their hands more frequently because of the student with the allergy. Again, I'm not opposed to clean hands. I'm very happy with clean hands. However, when you break it down for the students to all wash their hands for the amount of time that's recommended, you're talking about 105 minutes of instructional time per day for them to wash their hands before and after each meal and when they come into the classroom. My last concern is the amount of time these kindergarten teachers are going to now have to dedicate to patrolling what foods the children have with them, what foods are going to be eaten each day, whether or not everybody's washed their hands, whether or not she has the EpiPen in case this child has a reaction, because reality is it's not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. And the concern that I have for the other children who happen to witness this. Again, that's life experience. They may get to see it, they may not. But I do have concerns with the amount of time that's going to be taken away from instructional time in the classroom per day because of the extra vigilance that's going to be needed for the particular student that's coming into the district.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Emily Hartwig.
Hello. I have 2 students in Gearing as well. I have a first grader and an incoming kindergartner. Same topic of interest issue I have. She talked about the snack list. I'll just point out some of the snacks. Fruit roll-ups, jet puffed marshmallows, Oreo cookies, Trix cereal, popsicles, Captain Crunch cereal, fruit gushers, Jell-O, and then there's a whole list of candy. And once you flip it to the back, there is a very, very small list of fruits and vegetables that are allowed in the classroom. Now I understand this is just for 2 snacks a day. Dairy is allowed in the cafeteria, but my child is at school for 2/3 of her day. By the time she gets home at 4 p.m., she goes to bed at 8. So she eats more at school than she does at home. There's no protein whatsoever on this list. The fact that candy is even on the list, I'm a little bit concerned with as well. Parents who maybe are reading this or grandparents who are in a pinch. Oh, here's a ring pop. Here's your snack for today. No, this doesn't belong on this list. This can come home in a separate list for parties or Halloween or Christmas. Or maybe we just take candy out and we only allow pencils and erasers and stickers and fun things like that. I'm not sure why the fruits and vegetables are so short. Wondering why other fruits and vegetables aren't allowed. I'm also wondering why potatoes is even on here. I don't know any child that's going to bring a baked potato to school. So again, I know Mrs. Crandall's hands are probably tied. I'm hoping that there's some way that we can expand this list just to offer some more protein and nutrient-dense foods as opposed to sugars and carbs. So thank you.
Melissa Jones.
Hello. I'm also a parent of 2 Gearing Gators. I have an incoming kindergartner and I have a first grader. I wanted to also discuss the new food policies. Obviously, this is a big change for everybody. These food bans are going to greatly affect how parents and children at Gearing make their lunches and snack times both healthy and safe for all the students. Over the last week or so, I vented to family, friends, pretty much anyone who would listen, and I was able to talk to some friends who have kids with peanut allergies, and we shared school policies, their child's experiences from the parenting standpoint, and I've stayed up until 3 o'clock in the morning reading medical journals, not just about allergies, but nutrition, how important the snacks are for school-age children. I have a child with food allergies, so I know the rigmarole that you have to go through. You know, your kid's sick, the doctor visits, the trial and error, watching your kid in distress. My daughter's fortunate enough not to have an allergy that will make her go into anaphylaxis, but I do understand how hard it is not knowing what to feed your child. And I also have a son who was born with heart problems, so I know what it's like to be scared to send your child to school. In that regard, I wouldn't expect the whole school to be forced into getting flu shots, or during flu season to have to wear a mask to prevent my child from getting the flu, because for most children, it would be no big deal. But if he gets the flu, it could very quickly progress to pneumonia, and from there, it could easily be fatal. I think as parents, it's scary no matter what you're dealing with, but I feel like maybe there's a way we could expand this list so that there is something healthy that I can send my kids to school with. And, you know, obviously, this can get heated easily and quickly. Obviously, the family has our support, but I just feel like maybe we're forgetting about everybody else. So thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff Bohm.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank you for letting me speak this evening. I want to say to you that I'm here as a parent of 2 children that attend East China School District. Secondly, this information that you has been distributed to the local media outlets. I'm going to read from a prepared statement. My name is Jeff Bohm. I reside at 3453 St. Clair Shores Boulevard, East China, Michigan. I have 2 children that attend East China School District. My oldest daughter is going to be a junior at St. Clair High School this year. My youngest daughter is going to be in 8th grade at St. Clair Middle School. I am here this evening to distribute some information to you regarding board member Alan Richley. I know this information is 1.5 years old, but I just recently received it. I think it's important for the people to understand board member Richley's actions while serving on the East China School Board. You have a copy of a personal protection order that was filed against board member Richley originally back on January 6, 2015. There's a lot of information in this personal protection order, but I would like to focus on one portion that specifically pertains to the East China schools. If you look at page 6, the very first paragraph reads as follows. I left, and this is quote, I left Alan in my home while my ex-husband and I had a birthday party at the Quality Inn for our son, Nick's birthday party. I allowed him to utilize my computer to work on his political page. Later to find in the history of my computer, he was looking through photos, and upon arriving home, he was up to no good, working on the Save East China School page in a negative manner. I was not happy. Quote, obviously there's a lot of other information in this personal protection order which is public information. I know board member Richley is not seeking re-election. I am here this evening because I felt it's important for the people who vote to put these board members in office to know who they are truly voting for. If any one of you would like extra copies, I have a few next to Jeff Cook. I think I brought an additional 10. With that, I appreciate your time. Jeff Bohm, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next item of business is reports. Superintendent.
Last month, the board approved a motion to seek renewal of the non-homestead millage, and that's the 18 mills. And tonight, I just want to go over that information one more time for the community as a whole in the form of a frequently asked questions, which is also posted on the district website. What is non-homestead property? Just want to make sure folks understand that when we're talking about non-homestead, we're talking about that property that represents industrial, commercial, second homes, some agricultural property. It is not a family's primary residence. Is this a new tax? No. The non-homestead millage was last passed in 2007, and it currently expires with the current 2016 tax collection. If you have a home in East China and it's your primary residence, if the non-homestead millage renewal passes, will my property taxes increase? Again, no. The millage applies to non-homestead properties like commercial property, not your primary residence. Will the taxes on non-homestead properties such as local businesses increase? Again, it's important to understand no. For those owning non-homestead property, this is a renewal of the current millage. Why is the district asking for a millage renewal? Well, specifically, we've talked about this, and that's Proposal A requires it. In order to receive the full funding, schools must collect the 18 mills on the non-homestead property. This is the first money into the kitties, is one way of looking at it. Okay. We have a specific amount that we receive per pupil. The state expects us to collect 18 mills on all non-homestead toward that amount per pupil. And once we do, they make up the difference. If we do not, they will not make up the difference. Why are we asking for 19 mills when the state only requires 18? All right. I want to make it very, very clear that when the 19 is approved, we may only collect 18 by law. And the reason why we are looking for 19 or more than that is because of an impending Headley rollback, or the Headley Amendment, which speaks to a rollback. By approving 18 mills, voters guarantee a more stable budget for the district by ensuring that the district is able to collect taxes on non-homestead property at the full 18 mills and receive the full state foundation grant. What's a Headley rollback? Again, any year when property values increase greater than the rate of inflation or 5%, whichever is less, school districts are subject to a Headley rollback. It's not only school districts, it's all government entities. So City of St. Clair, City of Marine City, the townships could all be subject to a Headley rollback depending upon how quickly property values are increasing. Did this happen in East China? Yes. The housing market is indeed rebounding, and as property gets sold, property values in the district are reassessed, and they are increasing at a rate greater than inflation. So we have been notified of an impending Headley rollback. And what if the proposal does not pass? Well, if the proposal does not pass, we will lose approximately $14 million of our operating budget. That's 35% the state will not replace. Again, we have to levy the full 18 mills in order to receive the full state foundation allowance. Therefore, district staff and programming would have to be seriously reduced or altered. What's the last day to register to vote? It's October 11th for the November 8th election. And I'm sure, being a state and national election, we'd like to see everyone registered to vote and everyone participate. And how do I go about registering to vote? Well, the applications are online. If you go to the State of Michigan voter registration application, you can find right there online. If you would just Google that, you could Google Michigan voter registration application, and it'll take you directly to the PDF that you can print and fill out. You can either mail it or deliver it to any of those township offices. Okay. Again, all of this information is provided to folks on the district website. It will be in the school back-to-school newsletter that we hope that reaches homes this week, and we will continue to be providing information regarding this from now until the November 8th election. But it is critically important, and I hope that I've emphasized enough that this is not a new tax. This is not a tax that people who only own a home will pay, because this is on non-homestead. And for businesses, this is not an increase either. It's a renewal of the 18 mills. So thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Next item is information and discussion item, AP Spanish textbooks. Catherine Woolman.
Good evening. I was here several months ago, and I brought before you a proposal for updated textbooks for 2 of our other AP courses, and I told you I would be back in just a few months with one more. We held off on this one because we wanted our teacher to go to training, so that we made sure that the textbook that we brought for you was the one truly being recommended by the College Board. So tonight I have our recommendation for the Advanced Placement Spanish textbook. As our teacher went through the training this summer, he looked at the recommendations. The College Board typically recommends several, but they usually give preference to one, and they do that preference based on the one that will do, in their opinion, the best job preparing students to pass the test. The goal of our students when they take this class is not only to take a class that provides them an example of the rigor of college, but hopefully they can pass the test with a high enough score that they walk away with some college credit. So some of the factors were the presentation of topics and content, the current materials with user-friendly options, the technology integration. So as the last couple textbooks that we've brought before you, this one has online access for students with any device that can access the web. No more of those big boxes for teachers that have a million different little books that they copy from. All of the teacher materials are online. So there's not even a teacher textbook. It's all online for them with this one. Real-world connections with a variety of instructional strategies. That is extremely important in a world language book. They have to have some of those real-world cultural connections to help students understand the context in which the language is used. The quality of resources and support materials. This does come with test prep material, which is very useful to our students, especially in the spring as they begin to do their final preparations for the exam. And it has to align to the state and national standards, which the College Board uses to create their tests. So the textbook that we are proposing is AP Spanish Language and Culture. It has a copyright of 2014. We would like to purchase 13 student textbooks with 13 electronic subscriptions and 1 teacher. It's a textbook and electronic resource bundle. They'll have access to everything online. It will come to a total cost of $1,902.32. Any questions?
2014, huh?
Yes. The College Board goes through a cycle where every 5 to 8 years they revamp a test. This test was revamped in 2014, so we will get multiple years out of this textbook before they revamp their test.
Though the total dollar amount is less than $2,000, board policy does say any text has to be approved by the board. So that's why you'd say, well, wait a minute, why? Well, you know, for $2,000, no, it's because it's an instructional resource material.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine.
Next item on the agenda is an action item, recommended for action. Per administration recommendation, the Board of Education approves the purchase of 13 AP Spanish textbooks and online subscriptions and 1 teacher support set with online access in the amount of $1,902.32.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The last item on the agenda is items for next regular board meeting, Spring Athletic Awards, Annual Bullying Report, hope that's anti-bullying report, Neola Board Policies Update and Revisions.
Correct.
With that, meeting's adjourned.
Thank you, ma'am.